Most of us move through the world really as puppets to the calls of our body. And so these practices were developed, fasting or staying awake all night in prayer and meditation. Again, the body is saying, let me sleep. The brain is saying, I need to sleep. But you've made a commitment. I'm going to stay awake all night and meditate or chant or pray. I'm still here. Sky hasn't fallen. I haven't ceased to exist. So these austerities are given to us such that when we go back to eating and sleeping, we remember, no matter what call there may be, what impulse, what instinct, what urge, that I know I'm actually free. I've got a choice.
Yeah.
I can eat or not eat. I can sleep or not sleep. I can respond to that urge or not. But that ultimately I'm free to make that decision. They're not meant to denigrate the idea of the body or of our humanity. And the same is true in terms of our emotional state, our feeling state, our challenges and struggles in this human experience. And it's seen, again, especially in the East, that spiritual leaders don't have any of that. We're really expected in many ways to be above all of that, beyond all of that, like never feel anger, never feel frustration, none of that. I think that's a great disservice, both to the spiritual leaders who are expected to not be human in order to maintain their spiritual leadership. But I think it's also a great disservice to those who don't consider themselves spiritual because they feel so mired in their humanity. And there's a sense of, I can't be spiritual until I have overcome all of these aspects of my humanity. And I think it's so critical to bring humanity back into spirituality and to bring spirituality into humanity.
Yeah.
There may have been a time in history where spirituality could be that which just existed in caves and existed in silence, exclusive silence and exclusive meditation and practices of yoga. But I feel like right now what we need of spirituality is to infuse and inform every single being on this planet with the awareness that regardless of what I am struggling with, what I feel mired in, what my overwhelming humanity might feel like today, ultimately I'm a spiritual being. And one does not preclude the other. One does not make you disqualified from the other. I mean, I had always felt so disqualified from spirituality, disqualified from grace, unworthy of it because, well, I had been sexually abused and, well, I had an eating disorder and I struggled with addiction and depression and anxiety and all of that. I mean, obviously I was unworthy. And that's so untrue. That was one of the real motivations for me in writing the book, was to really make people know grace doesn't discriminate. Grace isn't there waiting for you when you've transcended your humanity. Grace is there for you right now, in the throes of your humanity, of your exquisite, beautiful humanity, to remind you that ultimately you're spirit. Ultimately, even in the throes of this drama that, yes, we all have to play and engage in and fulfill with sincerity, nonetheless, at the same time, to maintain the awareness that I'm not it. I think about an actor on a stage, playing the most brilliant role, but always being aware on some level, no matter how deep into the role they are, that ultimately they're the one playing it.
Which includes the villain.
Of course it includes the villain. And yet, no matter how great of a villain an actor plays, you never hear of someone who goes home and kills his family because he forgot that he's only actually playing that role in the TV show or the movie or the stage production.
Well, there are instances of actors overdosing and, ending their own lives as a product of going through, like method acting themselves so deeply into a role that it starts to change their mental, emotional, physiological identity.
Absolutely.
Humans are impressive with their capacity for adaptation.
Yes.
And
yes.
their stories can start to, it's like The Mask,
Yes.
Jim Carrey. I think that's probably some of the allegory
Absolutely.
of The Mask.
And we just need to make sure that it doesn't get stuck. And that's why, for me, I love just a really simple daily practice in the morning and the night of every morning after meditation, just a moment of an experience of literally zipping up the roll. I think about it literally as just zipping it up. I'm going to play these roles today. And I play them well, and I play them with love, and I play them with sincerity. And they are the dharmic roles that I've been given in this part of this life. And you play them throughout the day. And at the end of the day, but of course, even as you're playing them, this is why we meditate as much as we can, or just have moments of checking in and awareness, whether it's before eating, before drinking water, as we walk, however many moments during the day we can have to just remember, oh yeah, I'm the one wearing this costume.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, like the actor literally washes off the mask and washes off the costume, to just have a moment of literally feeling yourself, unzipping it, and a few moments of meditation before going to bed.
Yeah.
To just keep reminding yourself, oh yeah, I play that role, but I'm not the role.
I wonder, someone asked you last night of purpose and destiny and dharma, and if we have like a predestined path, and the thing that came to my mind is I feel like humans perhaps are kind of like stem cells, in that they will adapt to whatever's required of them. Whatever tissue they're around, they can kind of, it's like an open slate, and they can adapt to whatever's necessary for the body to heal. And I that was kind of like an analogy that's coming to my mind, because I don't know that, and perhaps this is incorrect, but when we're born, do we have a set destiny and a path of where we're going? And I always wonder, with like thinking of people that most people, there's a general consensus that they're like evil, which I think the original meaning of evil is just to like miss the target. But a Hitler is obviously the one that comes first to mind. But anyways, any of those folks. And then I think of the Hitler as like a little boy, as like playing baseball and wants to be an architect and has all these wishes and desires, and had a malformed penis apparently, and had insecurity around girls, and has like, oh, like I have so much compassion for that boy.
Yes.
And then he adapts or maladapts to fit some role. And I wonder, I guess I had one kind of question, but then another question is can you mess life up? Like, can you miss the mark? Or does everything happen just as it's supposed to?
Great.
And if you can mess this life thing up, what does that look like?
First, in terms of the destiny aspect.
That was like 12 questions, actually.
That's okay. We're not exactly like stem cells. We don't come into this world as empty slates. We come in with what we call a karmic package. And that's going to be the result of all of your past births. It's going to be the result of the astrological energies at the time you were born. It's going to be the result of the family of origin you took birth into, the culture of origin you took birth into, the physical body that you took birth into. All of these things are part of that package deal of karma. What we do with them is up to us. That becomes the opportunity that we have to really co-create our destiny. So when you think about something being predetermined, well, yes, things are predetermined, but right now is the pre of tomorrow and next week. So when we think of predetermined, we tend to think of something that was determined thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. And some part of it may have been based on some really old past life. But a huge chunk, a massive chunk of that determinateness, the predetermined parts, the destiny, is being written as we move through the world. And so the choices I'm making today are actually creating my destiny for tomorrow.